Hello, welcome to lesson 1 of Python Pages. In this lesson, I'll show you how to get started with Python. In this lesson, I'm going to show you how to start Python and enter expressions into the Python shell. We'll look at how the computer evaluates those expressions and how we can create more complicated expressions using operators. At the end of this lesson, we'll review some new key terms that you've used. There are many different ways to get the most out of these lessons. One thing you might like to do is work along with me. If you're going to do that, you might like to pause the video from time to time and just follow along doing what I've suggested. Another alternative is to watch it right through and then wait until the end to try out the activities for yourself. If you do that, or if you need a bit of extra support, you can repeat any part of this lesson as much as you want. And at the end of the lesson, there are some final activities, some that you can do on your own and some that you can do if you're working in a classroom situation. If you can complete the activities, that's a good sign that you've had some good learning and that you're ready to move on to the next lesson. The first thing you need to do is to start up and run Python. You have to make sure it's installed on your computer, and I have a separate, very short presentation about how to do that. It's called Python Pages Lesson 0. If you're working at school, it'll already be installed. Open up the Windows menu and look for Python and click on the symbol that says idle next to it. Idle is the Python IDE. IDE means Integrated Development Environment. An IDE is software that lets you write computer programs and run the programs. When you open the Python IDE, a window will open on your screen. This window is called the Python shell. For the next 2 or 3 lessons, we'll be working with the Python shell. The basic building block of any computer program is the expression. An expression is a way of expressing a value. You can enter expressions into the Python shell and the computer will evaluate the expression. That is, work out the value of the expression and show it to you. Here's a very simple example. This student has opened the Python shell and entered the expression 123. When you open the shell, you'll see the chevron shapes, the little brown arrow shapes. When you start typing, whatever you type will appear next to those arrow shapes. You can type an expression, then press enter and the computer will evaluate the expression. Here, the computer has evaluated the expression and displayed the result underneath the expression in blue. This is a very simple expression. The expression is 123 and the value of it is 123. So that's not very exciting, is it? You'll see, however, that the computer has displayed some new chevrons or arrows ready for you to enter a different expression. So let's try another one. Now the student has entered 123 plus 4. The computer has evaluated this expression and the value of this expression is 127 and the computer has displayed that. The examples we've just been looking at are numerical expressions. Numerical expressions are made out of digits with or without decimal points, or they can be expressions that represent a number, perhaps addition sums, for example. The computer will evaluate the numerical value of the expression and display that result underneath the expression. An alternative to a numerical expression is a string expression, and you can see an example of a string expression on the screen right now. The student has typed "This is Python" in quote marks. The computer has evaluated this as a string and displayed the value of the string on the screen. In fact, you can use single or double quote marks and it will have the same effect. Just use the same type of quote mark at the beginning and end of the string. But the student has also tried to enter the string without any quote marks, and that is an error. The computer has not understood what it's supposed to do. It can't evaluate the expression, and so it has displayed an error message in red ink. Notice that it literally doesn't matter if you make a mistake like this. The computer will show you an error message and you can try again. There's no danger or risk of spoiling your computer or ruining Python. You just see an error message and then you do something else. It's absolutely nothing to worry about. We've just seen that string expressions are enclosed in quote marks. You can use double or single quote marks. In any case, the computer will evaluate the literal content of that string and display it as its value. So just to summarise, there's a difference between a numerical and a string expression, and here are two examples on the screen. The first example, 3 plus 5, without quote marks, is a numerical expression. The computer has evaluated the expression 3 plus 5 is 8 and shown the result below. The second expression is in quote marks, which means it isn't a numerical expression, it's a string, and the computer has evaluated that and displayed the literal content of the string. If you are going along with me, working along, why not pause the computer now and have a go at entering some expressions and seeing what results you get. In the last section, you saw the use of an operator which looks like a plus sign, and that's the addition operator. There are several other operators that you can use to make numerical expressions, and here are 4 examples on the screen. The addition sign, the subtraction sign, the multiplication sign, and the division sign. You can create expressions using these signs. They're known as the arithmetic operators. Some expressions have got more than one arithmetic operator in them. In this case, the computer will work out part of the sum first and then complete the sum. How does it know which part to do first? Well, the answer is something called precedence. The computer will work out any part of the expression that is in brackets first, then any part of the expression that's got multiply or divide in it, and then finally any part of the expression that has addition and subtraction in it. Let's have a look at these 2 examples on the screen, and you can try entering these into Python for yourself to see what result you get. In the first example, the sum is 99 plus 6 times 2. Can you tell from precedence which part of this sum the computer will evaluate first? If you said it's 6 times 2, you were right, because multiply has got precedence over addition. So 6 times 2 is 12. Then the computer does the second part of the sum. It adds 99. So 12 plus 99 is 111, and that's the result of the sum. What about the second example, 99 plus 6 times 2? Which part of the sum will the computer evaluate first? If you said 99 plus 6, you're right, because that part of the sum is in brackets, so it has precedence. 99 plus 6 is 105. The computer then does the second part of the sum, which is multiplied by 2. And 105 multiplied by 2 is 210. So by changing the precedence between the two expressions, we end up with completely different results. Bear this in mind when you're making sums using Python expressions. You can actually use two of these arithmetic operators with strings as well as with numbers, but it has a slightly different effect. If you put the plus sign in between two strings, the result is a longer string made of the two strings joined together. The technical term for this is concatenating. You can see this example here, A plus B equals a string which is AB. You can also multiply strings by numbers. So in this example, A times 5 is just the letter A 5 times. Why not stop this presentation now and have a go at using arithmetic operators with numbers and with strings and see what results you get. On the screen, you'll see some of the key terms that we've learned in this lesson. They are IDE, expression, evaluating an expression, string, arithmetic operator, precedence, and concatenate. You should know the meaning of all these terms. If you're not clear what any of these mean, go back to the earlier slides and check what you've learned. In this lesson, you should have opened the Python shell, entered some expressions, seen how they were evaluated, used operators, and reviewed the meaning of key terms. Now try some of these for yourself. Open Python and enter some expressions. Use operators and try making numerical and string expressions and see what the results are. If you're working in the classroom, here's an activity you can do in pairs. Work with a partner for this. Write an expression using operators and brackets. It can be a string expression or a numerical expression. Challenge your partner to evaluate this expression and write down the value. Finally, open Python and enter the expression into the Python shell. Did your partner get it right? Do a series of these and see who can get the highest score. In the next lesson, we'll look some more at Python expressions and storing values as variables. See you then.